She built a multimillion-dollar empire that changed how millions of women saw their natural beauty.
Nice to meet you. Have a seat. I love your hair. What do you use in it? This is definitely a baby butterfree. Yeah.
Her products line the shelves of Target, CVS, and major retailers across America. Celebrities swore by her formulations. Titi Branch had everything: success, wealth, recognition, and the satisfaction of helping women embrace their authentic selves.
Hi, I'm Titi Branch. I'm with Miss Jessie's, and we're here with mogulmediatv.com.
Hi, I'm Miko Branch. I'm here with my sister with mogulmediatv.com.
What could drive someone who seemed to have it all to such a desperate end? The investigation that followed would expose a relationship so toxic, so manipulative, that it ultimately destroyed everything she had worked decades to build. The truth behind her death would shock the beauty industry and reveal how love can be weaponized by those who prey on vulnerability. What started as a small salon in Brooklyn would eventually become a movement that empowered women to embrace what made them unique. But success came with a price that Titi never anticipated. The wealth, recognition, and influence she had worked so hard to achieve would eventually make her a target for someone who saw her not as a person to love, but as a resource to exploit. The same drive and passion that built her empire would be used against her by a man who understood exactly how to manipulate successful, ambitious women. Stay tuned as we reveal everything about this case. Drop a comment and let me know what you think about this story. Welcome to our channel. Please like this video, share and subscribe to this channel to help raise awareness and spread caution. Let's begin. Titi Branch and her sister Miko didn't start with venture capital, celebrity endorsements, or business school connections. They started with their grandmother's wisdom, a small Brooklyn salon, and an understanding that millions of women were being underserved by the beauty industry. In 1997, when they opened their doors, the natural hair movement was practically non-existent. Their grandmother, Miss Jessie, had been the family's hair expert for generations. She understood the science and art of caring for natural hair textures, knowledge that had been passed down through oral tradition rather than written in beauty school textbooks. The Branch sisters recognized that this wisdom represented more than family history. It was a foundation for a business revolution. The beauty industry in the late 1990s offered black women essentially two choices: chemically straighten your hair or struggle with products that weren't designed for your texture. Department store shelves were filled with products that promised to tame or manage natural hair, language that implied something was wrong with its natural state. The message was clear: conform or be excluded. Titi and Miko saw this gap not as an obstacle but as an opportunity. Working from their small Brooklyn salon, they began developing formulations that actually worked with natural hair rather than against it. While Miko handled the business operations, networking, and customer relationships, Titi was a creative and scientific force behind their products. Titi's approach was revolutionary for its time. Instead of trying to change natural hair textures, she created products that enhanced and celebrated them. Her formulations were based on understanding the unique structure and needs of different hair types, using ingredients that provided moisture, definition, and protection without the harsh chemicals found in mainstream products. Word of mouth became their most powerful marketing tool. Women who had struggled for years with products that didn't work finally found solutions that delivered results. They told their friends who told their friends, creating a grassroots movement that spread throughout New York and beyond. The breakthrough came when celebrities began discovering Miss Jessie's products. Solange Knowles, Tracee Ellis Ross, and other high-profile women started publicly praising the brand, bringing national attention to what the Branch sisters were creating. This wasn't just celebrity endorsement. It was validation from women who had the resources to use any products they wanted but chose Miss Jessie's. By the mid-2000s, major retailers were paying attention. Target approached them for national distribution, recognizing that Miss Jessie's had tapped into an underserved market with enormous potential. CVS, Walgreens, and other major chains followed, wanting these products on their shelves nationwide. The financial success was remarkable, but more importantly, they were changing lives.
We want to thank everyone that has made the trek here to come to Miss Jessie's. This is our first outing in Soho. And we want to say thank you to everybody and let you know and understand that Miss Jessie's brand is all about love. It's all about self-love. It's about loving your hair. And we hope that we've been able to help women kind of gain esteem when they're going from the relaxed hair process to the natural hair process. We built this salon here in order to kind of embrace all of the people that are going to come here and really kind of give them the whole Miss Jessie's experience. So we hope you're feeling that right now, right? Right?
Women who had felt excluded from beauty standards were finding confidence and pride in their natural hair. Titi wasn't just selling products. She was selling self-acceptance and cultural pride. The Miss Jessie's empire grew beyond anyone's expectations. What started as a small salon operation had become a multimillion-dollar enterprise with national distribution and international recognition. Titi had achieved something extraordinary, building a business that generated significant wealth while genuinely helping women feel confident and beautiful in their natural state. But success in business doesn't guarantee happiness in personal life. Despite her professional achievements, Titi felt something was missing. She had built an empire, changed an industry, and influenced millions of women. Yet she remained single and increasingly focused on finding companionship to complete her life's picture. By 2012, Titi Branch had conquered the business world in ways most entrepreneurs only dream about. Her products were household names. Her company was valued in the millions, and she had fundamentally changed how an entire industry approached natural hair care. But personal fulfillment remained elusive, and at 43, she felt the pressure of time passing. Like millions of successful professionals, Titi turned to online dating, specifically Match.com, hoping to find companionship that had eluded her during her years of building the business. She was looking for someone who could understand the pressures of entrepreneurship, share in her success, and provide the emotional connection she craved. That's where she encountered Anthony Spadafora, a 55-year-old man from Pennsylvania who presented himself as a successful entrepreneur. His profile was polished, his initial communications were charming, and he seemed to possess all the qualities Titi was seeking. He appeared financially stable, emotionally available, and genuinely interested in getting to know her as a person rather than just another wealthy woman. Anthony presented himself as someone who could match Titi's success and ambition. He spoke about his own business ventures and seemed to understand the sacrifices required for entrepreneurial success. This common ground made their connection feel authentic and meaningful, giving Titi hope that she had finally found someone who could be a true partner. But the honeymoon phase was shorter than Titi anticipated. Family members and close friends began noticing changes in her behavior almost immediately after the relationship became serious. Titi, who had always been exceptionally close to her sister Miko and maintained strong family bonds, started becoming more distant from everyone in her inner circle. Miko was particularly concerned about the transformation she was witnessing in her sister. The vibrant, confident woman who had built a business empire alongside her was gradually disappearing, replaced by someone who seemed anxious, secretive, and increasingly isolated from the people who cared about her most. The red flags weren't limited to social isolation. Titi's involvement in the day-to-day operations of Miss Jessie's began to diminish. She had always been the creative force behind their products, but she started delegating more responsibilities and seemed less engaged with the business decisions that had once energized her. Anthony's influence over Titi's decisions became increasingly apparent to those around her. He began inserting himself into business conversations, offering opinions about Miss Jessie's operations despite having no background in the beauty industry. What had started as a romantic relationship was evolving into something that felt more controlling and manipulative to concerned family members. Have you ever seen someone you love change completely in a relationship? Share your experiences below. Your story might help someone else recognize the warning signs that everyone around Titi could see but felt powerless to address. Financial manipulation became Anthony's primary weapon. Despite Titi's wealth and business success, he managed to gain access to her resources through a combination of emotional manipulation and exploitation of her desire for partnership. He convinced her to make financial decisions that benefited him, while gradually separating her from the income streams and assets she had worked decades to create. The manipulation was sophisticated and gradual. Anthony didn't immediately demand access to Titi's money. Instead, he created situations where she felt compelled to help him financially. He presented himself as temporarily struggling with his own business ventures, asking for loans that he promised to repay, but never did. Each financial request was accompanied by emotional pressure and promises about their future together. He used her desire for children as emotional blackmail, suggesting that any resistance to his demands or any attempt to maintain relationships with family members would jeopardize their future together. This tactic was particularly effective because it played on Titi's deepest fears about aging and missed opportunities for motherhood. The most shocking revelation came when family members discovered that Titi had made dramatic changes to her life insurance policies. She had removed her sister Miko, with whom she had built their entire business empire, as the primary beneficiary, and replaced her with Anthony Spadafora. These weren't minor policies. They were worth over $2 million in total. This decision represented a complete break from Titi's previous values and priorities. Throughout their lives, the Branch sisters have been inseparable partners in both business and personal matters. For Titi to remove Miko as her beneficiary in favor of a man she had known for less than 2 years was completely out of character and deeply concerning to everyone who knew her. The insurance policy changes weren't the only financial decisions that raised red flags. Anthony had convinced Titi to give him access to various accounts and had influenced other major financial choices. He presented these requests as normal steps in a committed relationship, but the pattern suggested something far more calculated and predatory. This classic manipulation tactic, turning the victim against their support system, ensured that every attempt to help only pushed Titi further away from the people who cared about her. Anthony had created a narrative where he was the only person who truly understood and supported her, while everyone else had ulterior motives. The isolation became more complete as time passed. Titi's world was shrinking to include essentially only Anthony and the business obligations she couldn't avoid. The woman who had once commanded respect in boardrooms and inspired confidence in millions of customers was becoming increasingly dependent on someone who viewed her primarily as a financial resource to be exploited. The weeks leading up to December 4th, 2014, painted a devastating picture of a woman who had realized the extent of her situation but felt trapped and unable to escape. Titi's depression, which Anthony had exploited for months, had deepened significantly, and the few family members still in contact with her reported that she seemed hopeless and desperate. Anthony's behavior during this critical period would later become crucial evidence in understanding what happened to Titi. While she was clearly struggling with depression and expressing thoughts of despair, he showed little genuine concern for her mental health or well-being. Instead, he continued focusing on financial arrangements and maintaining his control over her assets and decisions. The few conversations Titi had with family members during this time revealed someone who felt completely cornered and desperate. She had begun to realize the extent of her isolation and the damage that had been done to her relationships, but she felt unable to break free from the psychological and financial web that had been constructed around her. Miko would later testify that her sister's final communications suggested someone who was aware of her situation but felt powerless to change it. Titi seemed to understand that she had been manipulated and exploited, but the shame and depression associated with this realization only made her feel more trapped and hopeless. On December 4th, 2014, Titi Branch was found dead in her apartment. The initial reports from authorities suggested suicide by asphyxiation, a conclusion that sent shockwaves through the natural hair community and the beauty industry as a whole. The woman who had inspired millions to embrace their natural beauty had apparently felt so hopeless that she couldn't see any way forward. For Miko Branch, the loss was devastating on multiple levels. She had lost not only her sister, but also her closest confidant, business partner, and the person who had shared every aspect of building their grandmother's legacy into a multimillion-dollar enterprise. The woman who had been her collaborator in changing an entire industry was gone, leaving behind only questions about what could have been done differently. The initial grief was overwhelming, but as Miko began learning more about the circumstances surrounding her sister's final months, grief began transforming into something else entirely. The evidence of manipulation and financial exploitation was becoming impossible to ignore, and questions about Anthony's role in Titi's death became unavoidable. Miko Branch's grief soon transformed into suspicion and determination as she uncovered the full extent of Anthony's manipulation and control over her sister's final years. The evidence of systematic financial exploitation and psychological abuse was overwhelming, and she became convinced that Titi's death wasn't simply a suicide, but the result of deliberate destruction of her sister's mental health and support system. The legal battle began when Miko filed papers in Manhattan Supreme Court that painted a disturbing picture of manipulation, financial exploitation, and what legal experts would describe as systematic abuse of a vulnerable individual. The court documents allege that Anthony Spatafora had exercised undue influence over Titi Branch, systematically isolating her from family and friends while gaining control over her financial assets. The central focus of the legal challenge was a $2 million life insurance payout that would automatically go to Anthony as the designated beneficiary. Miko's legal team argued that the policy changes had been made under duress, when Titi was not in her right mind due to the psychological manipulation and pressure she had been subjected to over months and years. The evidence presented in court proceedings revealed the shocking extent of Anthony's control over every aspect of Titi's life during their relationship. Phone records showed patterns of isolation and control, with Anthony monitoring and limiting Titi's communications with family members and longtime friends. Financial documents revealed a systematic pattern of exploitation, with Anthony gaining access to multiple accounts and influencing major financial decisions. Testimony from friends and family members painted a picture of a relationship that was built on exploitation rather than genuine love or partnership. Witnesses described watching Titi transform from a confident, successful entrepreneur into someone who seemed anxious, isolated, and increasingly dependent on Anthony for emotional validation and decision-making. The legal proceedings also revealed disturbing details about Anthony's behavior in the weeks leading up to Titi's death. While she was clearly struggling with severe depression and expressing despair, he had continued pressuring her about financial arrangements and showed little genuine concern for her mental health crisis. The beauty industry and natural hair community rallied behind Miko's efforts to prevent Anthony from profiting from what many viewed as the systematic destruction of Titi's life. Customers who had been empowered by Ms. Jessie's products saw the legal battle as more than just a family dispute. It was about justice for a woman who had given so much to others and deserved protection from those who exploit her success. The case highlighted broader issues about how financial predators specifically target successful individuals, particularly women who may be vulnerable due to age, desire for companionship, or family pressures. Legal experts noted that the case demonstrated how traditional patterns of domestic violence and abuse could manifest in relationships involving wealthy, accomplished victims. The proceedings also exposed how sophisticated manipulation tactics could be used to isolate successful individuals from their support systems, making them more vulnerable to financial exploitation and psychological abuse. The evidence showed that Anthony had used classic predatory techniques, identifying Titi's vulnerabilities and systematically exploiting them for financial gain. What do you think should happen to people who manipulate vulnerable individuals like this? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more true crime stories that matter. The fight for justice in Titi's case would continue for years, but the questions it raised about protecting successful individuals from predatory relationships remain relevant today.
We're so happy to be here at the 6th annual Women on the Move award presentation. We had a wonderful panel discussion with a wonderful group of accomplished women. We got a chance to really feel each other's stories and talk about our hardships and really just basically the ways that we came up in our respective industries. And we got an award that was totally unexpected. We got an award for Women on the Move. We got the Women on the Move 2012 award. So we were totally surprised and shocked, and we're so happy to be here. This Women on the Move panel was wonderful because we got a chance to speak with other women who are doing it for themselves, and this talk really underscores hard work does pay off, so we're just happy and so honored to be here. Thanks. Hi, I'm Titi Branch. I'm one of the co-founders of Miss Jessie's, the worldwide curly hair phenomenon. Our product is now available in Target, in local independent beauty supply stores, and also available at our store located at 441 Broadway between Grand and Howard.
Miss Jessie's just opened up its curl bar located at 441 Broadway. Come down Monday through Friday and get your curly, kinky, or wavy hair done with Miss Jessie's. Thanks.
For the natural hair community and beauty industry, Titi's death represented the loss of a true pioneer who had fundamentally changed how millions of women viewed their natural beauty. Her work had helped women reject societal pressure to conform to narrow beauty standards and embrace their authentic selves. The Miss Jessie's brand continues to carry forward her message of natural beauty celebration, but her personal vision and innovative spirit remain irreplaceable. The legal battle surrounding her death has raised important awareness about protecting vulnerable adults from financial exploitation, regardless of their apparent success, wealth, or intelligence. Titi's story demonstrates that anyone can become a victim when sophisticated psychological manipulation tactics are employed by someone with predatory intentions. The case has also highlighted the need for better recognition and intervention strategies when successful individuals show signs of being isolated or manipulated by romantic partners. Traditional domestic violence resources and warning signs may not adequately address the unique vulnerabilities faced by wealthy, accomplished individuals who become targets for financial exploitation. Titi Branch's legacy extends far beyond the tragic circumstances of her death and continues to influence millions of women who embrace their natural beauty because of the revolution she started. She fundamentally changed how an entire industry approached natural hair care, creating products and messages that celebrated authenticity over conformity to narrow beauty standards. The Miss Jessie's brand continues to honor her innovative vision, helping women embrace their natural beauty and reject societal pressures to change their appearance to meet others' expectations. Every woman who chooses to wear her hair naturally, who finds confidence in her authentic self, carries forward a part of Titi's revolutionary message of self-acceptance and cultural pride. Her story serves as both inspiration and urgent warning, showing what's possible when someone follows their passion and creates something meaningful, while simultaneously demonstrating how vulnerable we all are to manipulation and abuse, regardless of our accomplishments or apparent strength. Sometimes need our protection and support. Titi Branch built an empire that celebrated natural beauty and authentic self-expression. Her greatest legacy may ultimately be teaching us to recognize when someone's authentic self is being systematically destroyed by those who claim to love them. In her memory, we must remain vigilant and protective of those who might be vulnerable to the same predatory tactics that destroyed her life.